Just for everybody's information, we're gonna be delayed a couple of minutes. Our clerk is tending to a cut on his ear right now, which you get when you have to shave your head, and it's bleeding a little profusely. So found out that he can't write and hold the toilet paper at the same time. So give him a couple of minutes. Good morning. This being Public Works, of course, we're starting right around 10ish on the dot as usual. And we'll have on the fly, we're going to work with a little substitute clerk who's only had 12 years experience doing this also. So, at this point in time, I'd like to open up the public hearing for SB 627 FN relative to toll rate adjustments and periodic inflation-based toll reviews for the New Hampshire Turnpike System to support the 2027-2036 10-year transportation plan. And I'd like to recognize Senator Waters.
Well, thank you
Good
so
morning,
much.
sir. Welcome to Public Works.
Good morning, and thank you so much, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. It's good to see you all. And I bring this bill, Senate Bill 627, before you relative to toll rate adjustments and so forth. Now, I think we all know why this bill is here. It's because we care on this committee and in the Senate about making sure that we have efficient, safe roads that can support our economy, getting people to work, and also particularly our tourist economy as well. This is just vital to New Hampshire's economic future. I think that we also know, the situation that we're in because of the gaslit process. It was pretty clear, about $400 million short to fund the project, and we saw what happened, taking out almost all the regional projects, and still having to face maybe $780 million eventually for the 93, maybe $400 million for exits 6 and 7, and that's the economic development of the state depend on those, let alone many of the local projects. The other situation that we're in, and it's nicely outlined in a nonpartisan report that came out yesterday that analyzes our highway system, its safety, its condition, and also the financing needs for it. So good reading. But this committee knows well that the TIFIA bonding, that $200 million, we're now just paying off the interest. We know that about the $1.2 billion we received for the transportation bill through ARA funding and other things, that spigot has now been turned off. So it's now on us, as it really should be, to make sure we have safe and efficient roads that support our economy. We haven't raised a toll since 2007, and it is time, with inflation, with the escalating cost of construction materials, and the growth of our economy and of our population as well. So I'll very briefly describe the bill because it is actually fairly simple. The key word is at the bottom of page 1, notwithstanding. Notwithstanding the regular practice, the legislature has decided that it is time to act to cover the cost of the 10-year transportation plan for the cost of the Central New Hampshire Turnpike, Eastern New Hampshire Turnpike, and New Hampshire Turnpike systems. And so I really care deeply about protecting New Hampshire taxpayers, and I really support the governor's work on affordability and trying to keep energy prices low and other costs low to New Hampshire people. That's why, after I had spoken with her in the fall about this legislation when it was being drafted, said, she's right. We've got to make sure this does not fall on New Hampshire people. So that's what the bill does. It says that the toll increase are for non-easy pass holders and for the cash folks. So those are the ones, you'll see the charts here, lay out the increases in each class at each toll booth. But then on page 4, we tie up the bow for protecting New Hampshire people by saying the toll rates listed on a funded New Hampshire Easy Pass account using the New Hampshire Electronic will be at these rates. These are the existing rates. There is no increase in rates for New Hampshire Easy Pass holders. That's about 85% of the people in the state. And the department will make available for free a transponder for anybody who doesn't have one. For free, they'll provide one. And so those folks are paying cash, or they who are New Hampshire residents or people in the state, if they'll be able to get a free transponder. So that takes care of New Hampshire folks. You'll see at the very end of the bill that what we have to do is also repeal the statute 23711, because that had set that the New Hampshire rate would be a certain percentage of the out-of-state rate. So if we're freezing New Hampshire rates, we've got to repeal that, because with the escalation of the out-of-state costs, we're not going to also then use the same percentage to increase the New Hampshire costs. The New Hampshire costs are here, they're fixed, There's no increase. Now, we also ought to know every 2 years, because it is the 10-year plan that's driving this, well, what the cost of inflation been? So there will be a report, as you'll see on lines 10 on page 7. We'll ask them every 2 years when the gasset is coming forward to say, where are we at? Where are we at? You'll see the fiscal note. It estimates the money to be raised and over time, and then, with the increase of traffic as it's predicted, we get a sense of the revenue that comes in, so that it indeed will cover the projects that we believe that through the gasset process need to be funded. And I'll just conclude by saying, Mr. Chairman, because I have another bill to introduce exactly this same time, and they're holding the hearing for me, but I know we have the commissioner here and others to get into more details on it. I served in transportation a lot of years. Look around this room, and I see people who have decades of experience. And this has always been nonpartisan. It's been, what do we need to do to keep our roads safe, efficient, and really to drive our economy? This is about jobs. It's about economic development. It's about safety, and we can do it. It's our responsibility. I've never really quite understood, since the legislature and the Constitution is supposed to raise revenues and direct their expenditures, why we weren't doing this. That's, I guess, is for bigger minds than mine to determine. But the legislature, we have the authority under this bill, and I think it's on us. The rubber hits the road. Let's get the job done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. That report do you have any other copies of that?
Yes, he does.
Okay, thank you very much.
It's really well done.
And once again, the Senator, I'm sure, would take questions, but I want to make sure that they are pertinent. He's got another.
I really do have to get going.
He has to get
quickly,
going. So if they can be answered by somebody else,
if
we'll
the
hold them for
commissioner
them.
could, I
Thank you
call
very
me
much,
anytime,
Senator.
but I'm just sorry about this.
Thank you very
scheduling.
much,
Thank you.
Senator. Now we're going to take a short little intermission here while we find out whether my clerk situation is going to be here. Hold on. I wish everything went that easy today.
Marty, thank you.
And I take it we have a lot of supporters here for this bill. Either that or we've got a lot of controversy, one or the
Thank
two.
you for doing this.
And if the DOT doesn't mind, I'm going to hold you till last, because I'm sure you'll have the shoulder worths of questions. So, in no particular order, I'd like to recognize Joanne, is this Fryer from Alec? Please, welcome to Public Works. Red light, you're good.
Thank you. My name is Joanne Fryer. I am a licensed professional engineer in transportation. I've been licensed for over 30 years. I was born and raised in New Hampshire. My dad also was a proud transportation engineer, licensed and worked for New Hampshire DOT for his entire career. So I've been around the transportation industry for a very long time, even though I may not look it, since I know I look very young. Today I'm here representing ACEC, which is the American Council of Engineering Companies. I'm also representing myself as a traveler, as well as my company, Fuss & O'Neill. Our local office is in Manchester, and I live in Concord. So I frequent the highways, particularly the two projects that have been a focus, the Bow Concord project and also the Exit 6 and 7 project in Manchester. I drive through those areas almost daily. So I do have a letter here from ACEC, which I will hand, I guess, to you when I leave, that is in support of the bill. There are three top reasons that I wanted to share with you today. One is the safety of the transportation system, which it's important for us to recognize the level of accidents and congestion as a result of not being able to implement some of these very critical projects does affect our New Hampshire residents. So I'd like you to consider not just the cost of what this would mean, and again, we're holding the costs, the bill is recommending holding the cost for residents. If we don't implement this, think about the cost to New Hampshire residents, both from a time commitment, gas for idling, as well as potential safety issues that they could get in accidents, etc. In general, those costs are greatly outweighed by the cost, even for folks from out of state who would be paying the increased tolls. The second thing I'd like you to think about is the economics of the state. Transportation is the foundation for all of the economics. That's how goods get to places, people get to places, that's how work gets done. And so being able to fund these projects will allow us to continue to allow our state to grow an economic base, both for residents of the state and those who are coming into the state. We do want to attract people from the state. Tourism is such an important aspect of it. And then the last thing is the economy for the companies that are based in New Hampshire with workers who support the DOT both on the design side and the construction side. And this is a critical long-term support for the engineering industry to make sure that we have well-trained engineers that can help us address these needs going into the future. So thank you very much for that consideration. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your testimony. At this time, I'd like to call up Adam Bates, please. Welcome to Public Works, sir.
Thank you. Yes, and my name is Adam Bates. I'm here representing Weaver Brothers Construction Company. Weaver Brothers, actually 80 years ago tomorrow, was incorporated in the state of New Hampshire. And since that date, we have only worked in New Hampshire and primarily employ New Hampshire employees. And our primary customer is New Hampshire DOT. So I just would like to state that I think in our industry we're a major contributor to the state economy, and I just want to emphasize how much of a backbone keeping New Hampshire roads and bridges in good and safe condition is to the ongoing support of the state economy. That's
Thank
all I
you.
have.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up, I have Amy Charbonneau, Continental Paving. Welcome to Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name's Amy Charbonneau. I live in Windham, New Hampshire. I'm from Continental Paving. I represent my family. We have a family business in New Hampshire for about 40 years. We employ approximately 330, mostly 98% New Hampshire employees. There's a lot of high level things we could talk about, but I like to just get into a couple examples so they can resonate. So if we talk about economics, my dad spent 18 years trying to get 3.5 cents for the gas tax, which built 93. So if we look at 93, once we widen that, the economic and housing that came to exit 1 of Tuscan Village, exit 4 of Woodmont, if we flip over to the Ray W, all that economic development that came around the airport, what that did for the town of Londonderry, for the area of the airport. If you go up to the F.E. Everett Turnpike, all of everything that's been added to that turnpike now with that widening going on. So that's super important to continuing the growth of our state. Next, I'd like to hit on safety. So as much as everybody can complain they don't want to sit in the traffic, the key points of the DOT wanting to fix Bow Concord is to make people happier, but it's also because safety is a huge issue. The highway was designed way before the traffic counts are what they are today. So for example, exit 1 on 89, that's a gigantic problem. And there's been a lot of deaths there. There's a lot of accidents there. It needs to be fixed. It needs to be addressed. The ramps on 393, those ramps don't have room for you to merge with traffic intended when it's full, when the highway's full. So there's a lot of accidents there. So safety is a huge important point of why the DOT is pushing for Bow Concord to be fixed. On the monetary side of it, what's happening right now is we're using our resources, or the DOT is using them very effectively to maintain the state. A lot of projects are being thrown out that could grow the state and the economy. We're basically just trying to use the funds that from 2007, which nobody's functioning on the budget from 2007 on their private business, but we're asking the DOT to do that. So what's happening is they're basically trying to just maintain all the good that we've created since that time and not lose any traction. But you're going to begin to lose traction. The roads are going to fall apart. The highways are not going to be as good as they are now because you can't maintain what we have. Our roads are way better than Massachusetts. We don't want to turn into Massachusetts. So that point being made is that, for example, 393, the bridge we probably all took to come here today, has to be fixed. It's going to be a red list bridge. That bridge is going to cost $93 million to fix. When somebody decides to pass some sort of funding mechanism that will do the Bow Concord whole interchange and job, basically that entire bridge will then be changed. So we're going to waste that $93 million if we don't take action and fund something that needs to be done on a bigger scheme. And we're going to basically those funds are going to be, they have to be used. We have to make the bridge safe, but it's not very fiscally responsible in my opinion. So those are some of the key points of how that all works. Just for anybody who doesn't know, when you drive to Maine with the New Hampshire Easy Pass, you pay $4 when you go through that toll. When you have a Maine Easy Pass, you pay 93 cents, I believe it is. So we're just trying to do the same exact thing that everybody's doing to fund their highways. So all those trucks going up 95, basically using New Hampshire Turnpike to get to Maine, to get to the turnkey, the landfill, we need to charge them. So we can pay for our roads. We can pay for 89, 93. We can pay for Manchester 6-7 to all happen without state dollars. It just seems wild not to. So if anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Do we have any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Next up, I'd like to call Alex Katrubis. Did I get that correctly? Oh, good. He has handouts for us.
With your permission, they're a little heavy, so I got this box, but I will, would you like them now or after I?
After is fine.
Excellent.
Welcome to Public Works, sir.
Thank you. Everyone's been very brief, so I'll continue the trend if that works for you guys. So thank you very much, Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Alex Katrubis. I'm here representing the Associated General Contractors of New Hampshire. We represent the contractors, a couple of which you've heard from this morning, who build and maintain our roads and bridges. We're here today in strong support of this legislation. Thanks, Senator Waters and Senator McConkey for bringing it forward and pushing it through the Senate. And from our perspective, this is really a practical and responsible way to address a real funding challenge to the Turnpike system. And this committee spent many weeks, I watched you online and in person, working on the 10-year plan. And so you know better than anyone in the legislature the challenges that we face. And simply put, the Turnpike system, again, as you know, it's underfunded. The 10-year plan, there's major projects in there. Again, as you've already heard, Bow Concord, Exit 6 and 7 that need to be funded. We've been talking about them for many, many years. It's time to act. As you've heard from Senator Waters and in the report that he referenced, which I have copies for all of you, construction costs have obviously risen dramatically in the past 10 years. We need to address that, and this is a way to do that. If we can have residents from Massachusetts and Maine pay to fix Exit 6 and 7, so your constituents who live in Derry or Windham or Litchfield who work in Manchester, we can get those bridges fixed. We can get those exits fixed and those interchanges designed more safely. Why wouldn't we want to do that? I think this is, again, a targeted, disciplined approach. We have full confidence that the department will use these funds very wisely. The demand is there. So I think this is a common sense piece of legislation. I just want to highlight what's in this packet real briefly. Amy Charbonneau referenced Maine. So I've actually given you a chart of all of the rates in the state of Maine. And as she said, if you're a New Hampshire resident right now with a New Hampshire Easy Pass and you go through the York toll, you're paying $4. If you're a Maine resident and you go through that toll with a Maine Easy Pass, you're paying 95 cents. So other states, as you've heard, are already doing this. It makes sense to do that. I'm also including some information on the Supreme Court decisions that have been, the case law that's been decided on these raising tolls and Easy Pass discounts. It's been litigated. So I included some of those court cases so you can see what the courts have decided. And again, with the guidance of Senator Waters, this bill has been crafted in a way to make sure that we meet those tests in the judicial system. I also included an article from State Line that talks a lot about this issue as well, what other states have done, different funding mechanisms. And again, this bill is consistent with that. And lastly, there's some just general talking points, which I hope will be useful to you as the bill moves forward to the House. Feel free to use those. And obviously the report from the nonprofit organization TRIP that was just released, that information is in there. It's about a 24-page report, but I do think it's worth reading. There's some great information in there. So with that, representatives, I appreciate the time, and I will distribute this packet and hope you find it useful. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Yes, Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for taking my question. So you hit on the question I've been thinking about with all the other supporters of the bill, and I appreciate the testimony. So the biggest issue that I have is the legality issue, which you've referred to, and the other report about how many other states are there. So just for the public record, how many other states do something along these lines, or do you have that information?
I don't know if I have the exact number, but I can tell you that in New England, I believe Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Maine all do this.
Thank you very much.
I'm not sure about Connecticut, but it's a very common practice. If you need the exact number of states, I'm happy to get it to you.
I don't. I just wanted to general feel. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Representative Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Katrubis. I'm sorry, Katrubis, I apologize.
You got it.
Thank you for taking my question.
Of course.
As it relates to some of the decided cases, did they get into the grains of the Interstate Commerce Clause, and was there one
Yes.
specific finding in the ICC that was consistent in all the decisions that you're going to be providing us?
Well, I believe it's called the dorm. I'm not a constitutional attorney.
Neither am I. I figured since you've read it. And
I believe it's the DCC, the Dormant Commerce Clause, is what this is, what this falls under. And so there's various scenarios under that clause that have been ruled either constitutional or unconstitutional by the various federal courts. So I've the handout in here talks about a case in Massachusetts, a case in Rhode Island. And basically what it says is as long as everyone has access to purchase the New Hampshire Easy Pass, which is the case. If you live in Massachusetts, you can go to the Nashua Customer Service Center and purchase a New Hampshire Easy Pass, and I guess you could take it off depending on what state you're in. And most people probably just have one. But as long as the discount is open to anyone and doesn't just say that you have, based on your residency, you're going to pay one rate, and based on your Easy Pass, you pay a different rate. So as long as it's an open playing field where everyone has access to the discount, in layman's terms, my understanding is that's what the courts are looking at.
okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your testimony, sir.
Thank you.
And we'll take a couple of minutes while you pass those out. But in the meantime, next up is, and I'm going to take a stab at this. This now reminds me of when I was in school.
I actually know her. Her last name is Chaz.
I was Chaz. Okay. I was going to say shit, Sis. Sis it is. That reminds me when I was in school and they said A-E-I-O-U and sometimes Y. So you can finally put in.
Correct. Hi, Representative Boyd. Nice to see you again.
It's good to see you too.
Welcome to Public Works.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Jen Sis. I am the Executive Director of the Stratford Regional Planning Commission. Stratford RPC is one of 9 regional planning commissions across New Hampshire. We represent 18 municipalities in the Dover, Rochester, Somersworth, Tri-Cities area. Like our partners, the other RPCs across New Hampshire, we work with DOT on a regular basis to help program transportation projects that our municipalities need. At our January commission meeting with the representatives from each of our municipalities, while we were reviewing the draft 10-year plan, we also were made aware of this particular bill, and our commissioners voted unanimously for staff to come and express our support because we recognize that there is a need for both short and longer term revenue solutions to help fund transportation improvements in New Hampshire. We all know, especially going through this most recent 10-year plan process, that revenue has not kept pace with the costs of construction and implementing these different transportation improvements. It was a particularly difficult 10-year plan process where we saw many projects cut. We did not introduce new projects into that plan. And of note, the greatest impact we've seen is to those safety projects out there in the region. We had 3 projects that we had invested some time and engineering into that would have represented about 5.8 million in safety improvements in 3 different locations in our municipalities that did not advance into the plan because there was not adequate revenue to support those projects. We also saw cuts to 63 million in cuts to existing projects that would have been larger corridor improvement scale projects, and another 8 million in cuts to safety improvement projects that were previously in the 10-year plan and were cut. So just in synopsis, just wanted to come here, represent our communities and their support for increasing revenue to support the 10-year plan. That's it.
Thank you very much. Yes, we have a question. Representative Bohm.
Yes, sir.
It's sort of a, would you believe I'm a commissioner on the National Regional Planning Commission, and we also strongly support the toll.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next up is Mr. Jim Julbert. Did I get that correct, sir? Welcome to Public Works.
Close enough.
Okay.
Morning, everybody. Representative Brown, to answer that question, it's all New England states and New York. For the for your question is who engages in this practice, and I believe Representative Boyd, it was tested and in the state of New York, and it was in relationship to congestion pricing. And to avoid congestion pricing, there are certain modes of public transportation that had to get a second Easy Pass or equivalent in New York to get into Midtown Manhattan. So I guess by now you figured out I'm in the bus business. So my name's Jim Jalbert. I own C&J Bus Lines. We've been serving the state of New Hampshire for 58 years. We operate from the Seacoast region of New Hampshire into Boston South Station, Logan Airport, and New York City. We've been a longstanding carrier of the New Hampshire Easy Pass program. I have appeared over the years at numerous gasset hearings in support of raising tolls in New Hampshire. And I have done so because I recognize first how bad the roads are in other states, and they are bad, especially in Connecticut and New York. But I also recognize, watching politics over my 40 years coming up here to Concord, that times are a-changing, and that the days of being able to take money out of the general fund to provide additional support to the Department of Transportation and the 10-year highway plan is not going to be feasible much longer. So I want you to think about that. We haven't had a fuel tax increase other than the sunset money for 93 since 1991. We haven't had a road toll increase for the turnpikes since 2007, other than some tweaking for Hampton when we changed that. But yet we've had these significant costs continue to go up. And all of you have struggled between trying to get reelected and trying to do what's right. But I am fearful that if we don't support something that, I'm going to give Maine credit on this one, because Maine has been doing this for years. You know, we own a house in Port Clyde, Maine, and every Friday night I get in my car and leave the Portsmouth Transportation Center, and I pay my $4 at the York toll. There's no diversion. People don't go up Route 1 and around to avoid the toll. I see all the Massachusetts cars and some New Hampshire cars, heading up to Maine, and I'm one of them, but I pay the $4. When we go into New York State and go through the Holland Tunnel, we pay more money than we would pay if we had a New York Easy Pass specific to the rest of it. Okay, so you can sort of change the Easy Pass there. We pay more in Connecticut, we pay more in Massachusetts, but we're New Hampshire folks and we sign up for our program.
What I'm worried about is, as Amy said earlier, Amy Charbonneau stated, we're going to start running out of money. And the opportunity to maintain our existing infrastructure and keep up with expansion in this state is going to quickly fall by the wayside. You had a $400 million deficit in your 10-year highway plan. Exit 6 and 7, which is a significant safety issue, is not funded. Concord, Manchester Bow widening, critical to our continued growth, is not funded. And a host of other issues throughout the entire state down on the seacoast, significant safety issues at the merge where 33 and 95 and the Spalding Turnpike are. I mean, look, guys, you read this stuff, I could go on and on and on, but you already know the story. But what I'm here to tell you is, for whatever reason, Senator Waters and Senator McConkey have created a pathway to get this done. It's a pathway that candidly, when thousands of people go to the polls, tens of thousands every 2 years, you know, they elect all of you to affect change. It's a pathway for you when it comes to funding public transportation to affect change for the first time. And I know there are some people say, well, the Gassett should have done it. The executive council should have done this. They're in charge of tolls. Well, yeah, I know that, but the legislature's in charge of fuel taxes, and nobody's stepped up to the table. Now, at least on this one, you got a chance to step up to the table. If you told me today I would have to pay $1 more a toll or $2 more a toll, I'd probably gulp a little, but I'd pay it because I'd rather support my state, which has supported me for 58 years and supported the 135 employees who work for C&J, most of which are New Hampshire citizens, right? That's more important to me than anything. So I'm not going to quote all the stats. You've heard them all. I'm just going to say you got a chance to do the right thing. I implore you to support this. I implore you, regardless of party affiliation, to get behind your party to support this when it goes to the entire House and pass it. And I implore you to push the governor to do the right thing because this is a no-lose situation for New Hampshire. You don't lose on this one. Thank you for putting up with my passion.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Representative Juris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do we know when the other states raise their tolls, do we know if the residents of those states have also gotten a toll increase as well? Because it may not be as much as the out of state, but it's those are their roads, those are their bridges, and they have to. You would think that if you were a resident there, you in a sense you own this infrastructure as well, and that you would have to take part in maybe the increase.
Depends upon the state. For example, in New York, they tax everybody. So,
Okay.
and some of the other states not as much. Massachusetts has varied somewhat. But look, you know, we're not going to pay any more money. I mean, yeah, there's a small percentage that has to go sign up for an Easy Pass, which this bill essentially gives them. So you got to put a little work and a little effort in, right? If you want to get the discount. But absent of that, this is an incredible deal for New Hampshire. I mean, I think about $55 million and $400 million for the 10-year highway plan, and they can move money around, obviously, out of turnpike, because that goes to turnpikes, and they figure that out. It funds the safety piece, which the dilution of safety. It funds the turnpikes. You're having problems hiring people at the toll gates right now. Hampton's got 3 of them closed. It fully automates Hampton. It does some things that you've wanted to do for years. It's going to expedite traffic. It's better for the environment. We're going to move more people in and out of the state, and it's out-of-staters that pay for it. And they should pay for it. I know there's a bill about the parks. I don't know where you guys are on the parks and increasing that, but you sort of look at it in the same vein. Out-of-staters pay a little more. New Hampshire people get taken care of.
And just one more briefly, Mr. Chairman.
Brief follow-up.
What's it costing to operate? How does the lack of maintenance and infrastructure right now between where you run your operation from here to say South Station or down in New York, how is it impacting your timetable?
The Hampton tolls, it impacts a lot. So because you've only got 2 barrels that are Easy Pass Express, I mean, on a Friday and a Sunday in the summertime, you're locking people up there all the way beyond Newburyport. You're locking people up all the way to the main bridge. It's a problem. And what happens, especially on the northbound side, coming north and southbound, is if it locks up into York, then it becomes a nightmare. And every Friday and every Sunday, the lack of flow in those barrels is a changer. We can run. So today we'll run on time. We run on time most of the time, but in the summertime, without that, we can run as much as an hour behind. So what we're faced to do to keep a schedule is add additional buses, which drives the cost up. And think about that when you've got all those idling vehicles and all the emissions and all that stuff as compared to when vehicles move. It's much better for the environment. It's much better for the system, and it's very appealing. I mean, it's very appealing to people who travel through our state to move quickly and efficiently.
Thank you very much for your testimony, sir.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day, guys.
Before I bring up the DOT, is there anybody else in the audience that wishes to speak on this? Seeing none. DOT, Mr. Rodriguez, you're up. Welcome back to Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. Good morning, members of the committee. For the record, my name's David Rodriguez. I'm the assistant, not the assistant. I am the commissioner for the Department of Transportation. Let me get that right this time.
I'm the chair now. I'm not
There
the
you
vice chair
go.
anymore either. Yeah. Welcome.
I am the
Public Works.
commissioner of the Department of Transportation. Thank you. So I want to start by explaining how we need this amendment to read and how we need this bill to work. The crux of this bill is that the discount in the current rates will be for anybody who has a New Hampshire Easy Pass.
May I just interrupt you for a
Yes,
second?
please.
Right now, we're having the hearing on the original bill as
Yes.
we've gotten it. I have not apprised the rest of the committee of our proposed amendment yet, just
Great.
so that you know that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And what I want to make clear, whatever version of this bill winds up coming out of this committee, it's the Department of Transportation's recommendation that the bill be specific, that the discount is given to anybody with a New Hampshire Easy Pass. Any non-New Hampshire Easy Pass user or cash user of the system will pay the increased rates that's being proposed in this bill. Currently, people with a New Hampshire Easy Pass enjoy a 30% discount when they drive on the New Hampshire Turnpike. Anybody else who pays cash or a non-New Hampshire Easy Pass pays full price for the toll. What this bill does, as it was currently or originally stated and through the amendments that I've seen, keeps all of the current discounted toll rates for New Hampshire Easy Pass users the same and raises the tolls for everybody else. So by raising the tolls for everybody else, we take in the extra revenue. Toll rates for the Turnpike were last raised system-wide in 2007. The Hampton tolls were last raised in 2009. I have a graph that shows all of the other IAG or interagency group agencies that belong to the Easy Pass Turnpike system. There's 36 of them, I believe. Most of those agencies have raised their tolls in 2024, 25, and 26. New Hampshire stands alone being back at 2007. Every other agency has raised their tolls since 2007. Some of these tolling agencies benchmark their toll rates to an inflation rate so that they automatically adjust as inflation changes. The way I believe this bill is currently written, it doesn't automatically change, but as part of our 10-year plan process every year, we will calculate, and we do calculate, the construction cost index. And at that point, we'll make a comparison to the increase in construction cost versus the toll rate to bring that to everybody's attention. Compared to all other Easy Pass interagency toll facilities, New Hampshire toll rates are currently the lowest at 6.2 cents per mile, and that's for the non-New Hampshire Easy Pass customers. That's for people who are paying the full cost. We're at the bottom of that list. Many toll agencies discount tolls for customers with funded Easy Pass accounts from their home agency. The rate of discount varies by toll agency. New Hampshire currently has a 30% discount. I had explained that. With the bill, the way it's written, as an example, a passenger vehicle going through the Hampton mainline toll that is listed on a funded New Hampshire Easy Pass account currently pays $1.40, and they'll pay $1.40 if this bill passes. A vehicle not listed on a funded New Hampshire Easy Pass account going through the Hampton mainline toll currently pays $2, and after the passage of this bill will pay $4. As a point of contrast, and you've heard it a couple of times already today, consider the York Maine toll. Maine passenger vehicle Easy Pass account holders currently pay 95 cents when they go through the York toll. All others, including New Hampshire Easy Pass account holders, pay $4 when they go through that toll. So even with the increase that this bill contemplates, we still won't be giving New Hampshire Easy Pass users as steep a discount as Maine Turnpikes does. Well, part of New Hampshire DOT, the Turnpike system is an enterprise system. New Hampshire RSA 237.9 restricts tolls collected on the Turnpike to be spent on the Turnpike. New Hampshire RSA 237.9 and bond covenants require operating expenses, maintenance, and debt service to be paid first before we do any renewal and replacement and before we do our capital projects. Since 2007, operating and maintenance costs have increased significantly. Growth in traffic helped to offset the increase in cost. However, since 2019, traffic growth has significantly reduced. In fact, due to the COVID pandemic in 2020, annual transactions have all been lower than 2019 since the COVID pandemic. And this all while inflation has soared over that same time period. The compounding effects of tolls last increased in 2007, increasing costs due to inflation, reduced number of toll transactions, and turnpike spending priorities results in a lack of turnpike funds for capital projects. This challenge came into very clear focus as the department worked with the GASSET on Governor's Advisory Council on Intermodal Transportation to update the 2027 to 2036 10-year transportation improvement plan. It also came into focus as we worked with you, this committee, through the update to that plan. The three major turnpike projects in the 10-year plan that were impacted include the Nashua Merrimack Bedford project, where fiscal constraint extends the completion date for the F.E. Everett widening, meaning our customers and our people who drive that section of road sit in construction for more years than they would if we had the funds. No ability to fund the final roadway, bridge design, right-of-way needs, and construction of the Manchester Exit 6 and 7 project, which reconstructs 293, as well as exit 6 and exit 7 interchanges. This project increases safety, reduces delay, and improves access. No ability to fund the final roadway, bridge design, right-of-way needs and construction of the Bow Concord, I-89, I-93, and I-393 project that also increases safety, reduces delay, and improves access. There are several other unfunded Turnpike capital needs not yet in the plan, but that could be considered, including safety improvements, construction funding for Hampton, all electronic tolling, and others. The Department of Transportation is concerned with the reduction in Turnpike capital projects, leading to the reduced ability of the department to earn toll credits as well. Much of DOT's funding comes from the federal government and requires a state match. The department has little to no state funds to provide this state match, so we use Turnpike toll credits. Turnpike toll credits are earned when Turnpike toll revenue is used to build, maintain, or improve Turnpike roads and bridges. As the amount of toll revenue for capital projects is reduced, so is our bank of available toll credits. At our current earn and spend rate, we estimate we will run out of toll credits by 2035. At the end of the day, the department is committed to operating, maintaining, reconstructing, and improving the Turnpike system to the best of our ability with the available funding. The department is neutral on this bill. But any increase in tolls would allow us to increase our capital program and increase the amount of toll credits we earn. Thank you for hearing my testimony, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, sir. Representative Boyd, first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations, Commissioner. It's good to see you sitting there with the new title. Appreciate it. I have a couple of questions. First one's very easy. There was testimony previously that the DOT is going to be providing transponders for free to New Hampshire residents. What's the annual cost for the transponders?
Yes, so depending on the version of the bill, there's a clause that we will provide free transponders for 210 days. We will be releasing a new sticker transponder very shortly, and the cost of that, I believe, is in the 65-cent range. In the 65-cent range. So we will be giving out those. We figure we might give out a couple 100,000. So let's say 125 to 150,000 would be the cost to give out those transponders.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Follow-up.
Follow-up.
What is the percentage of non-New Hampshire traffic using the Hampton Hooksett mainline tolls percentage-wise right now?
Yes. So we estimate that percentage as 80% non-New Hampshire Easy Pass users and 20% New Hampshire Easy Pass users.
One final question, please.
Final question.
Thank you, Commissioner, for taking my questions. Lastly, from a parochial perspective, when was the F.E. Everett widening Nashua, Merrimack, Bedford supposed to end, and how far has it been pushed out to?
I'm sorry, that I don't have. I believe it's pushed out for another 2 to 3 years. Toby's nodding yes. So it's pushed out another 2 to 3 years. I don't have the date of finish, but I can get that for
Like
you.
28, 29 approximately.
Yes, and it's pushed to 31 or 32.
Okay, thank you very much, Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Jack.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for coming. If I understand the 10-year plan correctly, we had Redless Bridge work that's being funded with federal funds in this 10-year plan that could have been funded with Turnpike funds. Do you happen to know the amount that we would be able to recoup on federal funds and use for something else if this were to pass?
Yes, so as part of the 10-year plan, we included $75 million for reconstruction of red-listed bridges in the Bow Concord corridor. So that $75 million would become immediately available for other federal projects throughout the state, if we had more turnpike toll revenue. There's also a project in Manchester at Exit 6 to reconstruct the southbound on-ramp that's currently federally funded in the plan. We would fund that project with turnpike funds as well, relieving another, I believe it's $8 to $10 million for federal projects in other parts of the state.
Other questions? Representative Brown?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for taking my question and congratulations again. You mentioned during your testimony that there's a calculation plan for the construction index increase that you'll provide to us each year at the 10-year plan review. And I guess I haven't seen any detail on a proposed amendment, but I assume you're giving us that information so we can decide whether or not we would have to increase potential tolls later on to offset the cost increases. Is that correct?
That is correct. So, and we will do that as part of the GASSET process. So the first part of the GASSET process includes the executive counselors and the commissioners. So we will make that comparison first with the counselors through the GASSET process, and then we'll also make that information available here at House Public Works as the 10-year plan makes its way through the legislature as well.
Thank you very much.
Representative Cloutier?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, congratulations, Commissioner, on your appointment. But you mentioned something, and I wanted to be clear. I believe tolls were raised by the Governor and Council in 2007, and they also raised them again 2 years later in 2009. It's something you said, and I was wondering what the difference was. Could you briefly explain the difference?
Yes, in 2009, the tolls were raised in Hampton only. And that toll increase in Hampton only allowed the Turnpike to purchase the the New Hampshire portion of the I-95 bridge between New Hampshire and Maine. So it put funds from the Turnpike, gave us funds to spend on the rest of the system. And that toll increase also did the all electronic tolling lanes or high-speed tolling at the Hampton toll booth, and improved or replaced several bridges as well that were in very bad shape at the time.
Okay, follow up, Mr. Chair. Okay,
Follow up.
thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it.
Representative Faulkner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the current process of increasing tolls would remain. The department recommends to the governor and the council. So what this bill does is set minimums below which it would not go. So in the event that this doesn't raise the revenue that's needed, the council could approve an increase above what's the particular numbers that are in here. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
All right, thank you.
The intention, if I may, the intention of this bill and the final amendment we'll watch is for this one time only for the legislature under this bill to set the tolls at this rate. The authority would stay with the council for future toll increases.
Representative Juris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner, what happens if we choose to do nothing? Let's say over the next 3 years, what happens to the turnpike roadway, the bridges, the culverts, et cetera, in your engineering estimation?
Yes, so what will happen is we will build the 10-year plan that we propose to this committee and to the legislature. We will build that as it's finally passed and signed by the governor into law. That plan will not include construction funds for I-293 Manchester exit 6 and 7, and it will not include construction funds for the Bow Concord project either, or any of the other additional projects that could be added.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Representative Vallone?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Commissioner, for taking my question. So two-part, what percentage of revenues come from cash, and can you break out what percentage New Hampshire drivers pay of that amount?
Yes, I do not have the percentage of cash revenue off the top of my head, Nick, unless, no, I can get that information for you. I can't give you that today. And we do not have the percentage of cash customers that are in state versus out of state. That's not something we capture. But I can get you the percentage of cash. When I think of the charts, it fluctuates during the year. In the wintertime, it goes down a little, and I think we're about 76% all electronic tolling and 24% cash, but we'll get you the exact numbers.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for your testimony, sir. And if there are any other questions or comments from the audience, seeing none, I am going to now close the public hearing on Senate Bill 627 FN. We're going to have a seat, please, everyone. Around 11:30, we're going to go back on a live stream and we're going to vote on the timber bill. But for right now, I just want to let you know that this amendment that we just passed out for 627, and I've got enough people here to correct me if I'm wrong on this. The only thing that this changes is, after I find my own copy of it, is that it puts the, on the final page, it puts the wording in there about the Easy Pass transponders, that you do not have to be a resident of this state to get an Easy Pass transponder. You can get one, you just have to go and ask, and they're being given out free. So that's just to put in the language to make sure we don't get any lawsuits or anything. That's the only change to it, and it's not. Yeah, that's where it's there.
No, that's on this one occasion only.
Yeah. Correct. So this has to be drawn up as a regular amendment. Right now, it's just in raw form. So I just want to let everybody see this and know this, and if you have any corrections to it within a week or so, let me know, because I'm going to have this drawn up as a regular amendment. Yes, sir?
Page is not numbered, but where it says Roman numeral 3 and 3, notwithstanding, there's another
Right.
small change there?
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, it's,
So it did say resident, and now it's open to anybody.
yeah, that's not where he's talking.
Pardon me?
No, that's the one that I showed you. It says on this one occasion only, which has nothing to do with the free transponders. It's two changes.
Oh, wow.
So this is change.
Yes.
And then there's this change, which is the free transponder.
Yeah.
Representative Brown had a question.
Yeah, Representative Brown.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman. So my question and concern about the basically unlimited transponder issue, that this could be a problem, like we talked about, for reproduction of materials for 91A, that type of thing. Could that be a potential problem here where we're overwhelmed with the request for transponders?
That's not this committee's concern. That's the DOT's concern.
Okay.
And like I said, I'm going to have this drawn up into a regular amendment type. I just wanted everybody to see it ahead of time. So, and I don't want to have any further discussions on this until we're actually in public, and we'll treat it. And as far as I can see, we will probably not schedule this, probably not for next week either, because we have a Senate bill that I need to talk to everybody about that is now an early bill, which means it goes to the top of our list because it's got to get done first. So, and I should have passed this one out first. So let's get started on this. And this way. Once again, this is just informational. We're not going to do any discussion on this, but I'm going to schedule this. We're going to schedule this for next week for a public hearing.
That's all.
Also, on the toll bill, if we get that, as soon as we get that done and get over to the governor, the Senate can add back in exit 6 and 7. And the highway bill. I know, so that's the thing, if he doesn't, then they can add it in. Yeah.
So, once again, we're not going to be back into This is just all informational. We're not gonna be back into doing anything until 11:30, which is when I asked that the cameras be put back on. So we can actually be up front. I'm sorry, what? Oh, now they're on. Even though I said 11:30. Mhm. Got my eye on you now.
So 11:30, you're moving ahead.
Let's go ahead and move ahead then. All right, so let's just make sure. You've all got your information regarding the proposed amendment to the tolls. I will have that distributed at least by next week's session. Next week, we are going to have a public notice, a public hearing on Senate Bill 541, Regional Drinking Water Infrastructure. And for right now, I would like to take up a discussion on what's the timber bill? Senate Bill 529.
Okay, I need one.
I'm not calling an executive session yet. This is still just informational.
Okay, thank you.
I'll call the executive session when I have a chance. As far as 529, we were mostly in favor of this bill, and we tried to assist in making it specific to New Hampshire lumber only, instead of where it says harvested in the United States. And in discussions with the main sponsors of the bill, found out that they had specifically put it in there in the United States because there is no way in the world that anybody can track a single piece of lumber and know that it's New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont, or Massachusetts when it goes to the mills. So we decided against putting in the amendment. And when the clerk is ready and I call us to order, we will just be voting straight up or down on the bill as ought to pass.
Chair, can I
Yes.
speak on this bill?
Yeah.
I'm going to vote for ought to pass. And I feel that I want to be clear, this is not forcing anything. That's why I asked this question.
Can this wait until I call the executive session?
Sorry about that.
Because right now this is just informational. But you can certainly say you're going to do it. Go ahead.
Okay. So it's all right, I speak
Yeah,
now.
go
Okay.
ahead, speak.
I plan to vote yes on ought to pass on this 529. I want to be clear, it's not a bill that's going to force the state to do anything. It's to me something that just stating a preference. And I think if we're going to, be in the state of New Hampshire, I mean, I'd like to New Hampshire, but I think there's a lot of problems with just New Hampshire lumber. So at least we ought to try to use American lumber, but I know there's sometimes problems. And because of the affordability issue, and I'm going to touch, of course, we all know what's happening at the national level with tariffs on foreign lumber, and I don't know how much longer that's going to last, whether you agree with the tariffs or not. I don't want to get into debate on tariffs here, but I think this is a good idea that we have this, pass this bill and become law so long as we have tariffs on foreign lumber. That's my opinion. I urge everybody to vote yes.
Any other comments or anything before we go into executive session? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Did I understand correctly? I apologize, but I would like to get back, if I can, to the proposed amendment to the toll increase bill.
Can it wait until we finish this executive session?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect then. Because we got so many, I can only juggle so many balls, usually one. All right then. I'd like to open an executive session on Senate Bill 529, and I recognize Representative Boyd for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move Senate Bill 529 ought to pass.
I second that motion.
Motion has been made and seconded. Now's the time for your comments. Would you like to repeat any or all of those again, John?
I stand by what I said. It's not a miracle bill. I mean, there's still choice involved, but if we can use American lumber on state projects, I think it's a good idea. So I'm in, especially now with the current political and economic system, especially with all the tariffs we have on foreign lumber. Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Vice Chairman Bogert is absent. Representative Fidolfi. The clerk votes aye. Representative Bohm.
Yes.
Representative Brown.
Yes.
Representative Lewis is absent. Representative Suter is absent. Representative Foote.
Yes.
Representative Cloutier.
Yes.
Representative Jack.
Yes.
Representative Edgar.
Aye.
Representative Faulkner.
Yes.
Representative Newman.
Yes.
Representative Vallone.
Yes.
Representative Juris.
Yes.
Representative Rockmore.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Chair votes yes.
Mr. Chairman, by a vote of 14 in the affirmative, none in the negative, 3 absent, Senate Bill 529 ought to pass is approved.
Do we have any objections to putting this on the consent calendar?
What was the vote again, Bill?
1403.
Okay, thank you.
14-0. No objections to the consent calendar. All right, the executive session on Senate Bill 529 is now closed. Okay, so for next week, like I said, I'm going to schedule 10 o'clock. We're going to schedule a public hearing on Senate Bill 451. I've asked for some clarification. If you take a look at it real quick, the fiscal note says it's $16,500,000. The original Senate bill said $16,500,000. The copy that we have now still has the same fiscal note, but it asks for $50 million. So I'm trying to get some clarification on that prior to next week so that we don't make some sort of terrible $35 million error.
That's what we passed last year, so that's already.
So, and aside from that, Representative Rockmore has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my understanding of this proposed amendment to the toll bill is that in section 2, the added phrase "on this one occasion only," my understanding is that phrase modifies "shall be increased." And my recommendation, if this is not a final draft of this amendment, my recommendation would be to move that phrase "on this one occasion only" closer to the phrase "shall be increased," if I'm correct about how that provision is to be understood.
I'll make a note of that, but in any effect, that's why we have OLS. OLS will draft this amendment and put everything in the right area. Yes, Representative Boyd.
I was just going to say that on one occasion only also popped out like it was just like sticking out in the middle of nowhere. And I think what Representative Rockmore is proposing grammatically makes sense. And I would agree with that.
Just,
Representative Faulkner.
I understand the intent is that we're only bypassing the executive council process
One time.
here, so we're setting minimums, but we only intend to do that this one time only. Otherwise, the executive council process continues. I think that's
Correct. The executive process council, that's why it calls for the any kind of inflation increase to be presented to the gas at the executive council and everything else. And in the future, they're, as they are right now, they're the ones that drive toll increases. This is just a one-time only, got to get this done.
I think it was clear when the second one for the New Hampshire tags says it's a minimum. The word minimum doesn't appear on the one for the, for non-easy pass tags.
Right. Well,
So,
and once
I
again,
think-
this opens, just make sure that we go according to the interstate commerce laws or whatever it is, that you do not have to be a resident to get a New Hampshire Easy Pass. So if somebody from Maine wants to get a second Easy Pass, just for New Hampshire use, they're welcome to it and they can get the discount. So we're not limiting it to just,
Right, and that's
it's just,
actually always-
it's not residents, it's New Hampshire Easy Pass holders. That's it. That's the extent of this. Yes, Representative Malone.
And on that point, just if they're giving out or selling these easy passes to New Hampshire residents for 61 cents. So I raised the question, does that mean that if somebody pulls up from New York and says, I'd like that 61-cent easy pass, do they get the same price or do they have to pay the higher rate? That's all. So that's just a question. Again, I'm not going to be here next Tuesday, so I just.
Oh, okay, you're
I
not,
think
because Tuesdays, I was gonna say Tuesday's the day they ask the questions. Right now,
So the free,
this amendment doesn't exist yet.
right, the free tags are limited by the 210 days. After that, they'd pay what they're currently paying, which I think is like $8.50 plus, plus postage.
Any other questions, concerns?
Mr. Chair.
And this is not an amendment, but some information Representative Newman passed out. I just want to be clear, what is the difference talking easy versus funded versus unfunded?
That's a question for next Tuesday.
All right, good. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anything else of note? Seeing none, I will see y'all
So
next Tuesday.
We're going to exec the so-called.
We exec the lumber, we just exec the lumber bill.
We need to do the highway sign.
No, we haven't done the highway sign yet either. We'll look at that next week too.
I was hoping we could maybe do.
Okay, that's.
Speaking of the highway bill.